everyone. Lisa Haven here. Well, the Democratic Party and mainstream media are no longer hiding the fact that their intent is to subvert the United States Constitution and usher in complete and utter socialism and communist style policies. They're literally out in the open. In fact, in today's report, I'm going to show you 8 ways in which they are doing that very openly and very blatantly. And not only that, but also how the mainstream media, specifically Washington Post, is encouraging Biden, the Biden administration, if you will, to use forceful action against GOP members. And I'm not even joking. A lot of the stuff that is now coming out of the Democratic Party's mouth, people like Nancy Pelosi and Democrats and mainstream media proponents, are very terrifying because they're literally talking about creating a list of their political opposition, silencing us from the internet. The only people that are getting shut down from the internet is one political side, and that's Trump supporters, Christians, and conservatives and libertarians. The left is left alone. And this is continuing to explode. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party is literally labeling us as if we're the ones in the wrong doing something bad, accusing us of coups and the whole 9 yards. So much is happening that you need to be aware of. And if you really want to know what's going on, you've got to get on over to restrictedrepublic.com. Look, I created this site to be open with you guys about everything that's going on. And right now I've got an amazing special. It's $1 for the first 45 days. So try it out for $1 for 45 days. You can cancel whenever you want. There's no commitment to stay any certain amount of time, but get there. And actually, we've got some amazing video reports. I published a bombshell just yesterday, but get to Restricted Republic and use the coupon code in order to get it for $1. Use the coupon code Christmas21. That's Christmas21. All right. So let's dive into a lot of stuff that is happening. And let's start first with the Washington Post article that comes out and encourages Biden to use certain action against, well, GOP members. Take a look at this article here on the Washington Post. And of course, they got to label it as an opinion article. It says the big ugly truth that Biden can't conceal from the world, can't conceal about the United States of America. What is this big ugly secret? Well, here they go. If Biden tells the truth to the world, it might sound something like this. Our homegrown threat to democracy comes primarily from a dangerously radicalized right wing and from cynical, anti-democratic accommodation of it by only one of our major political parties, the GOP. And I'm just going to hit pause because toward the end of this article, I'm going to show you how the opposite is true, that it is the Democratic Party who is subverting our democracy and our United States Republic. But it goes on. Biden would say his own party has proved to be utterly unable or even unwilling to take actions necessary to safeguard against that threat, the threat of the GOP right-wingers. And he would admit the problems are also structural, that safeguarding is frustrated by anti-majoritarian features on the system itself, and his own party is failing, he says, to correct those as well. In other words, this Washington Post article, the mainstream media is calling on Biden to do something, to act against the GOP in some way, shape, or form. But it expands. Right now, much of the GOP has decided, and this is just a complete blown up fabrication by Washington Post, but it says right now, much of the GOP has decided that an effort by its own leader, Donald Trump, to overthrow U.S. democracy through corrupt pressure on many government actors and then through mob violence doesn't require a national response. Pause. No such thing has happened. Donald Trump was not involved in what happened on January 6th, and yet they're making crap up when in reality, the Democratic Party, again, I'm going to show you 8 ways that they are at the end of this video, are subverting our democracy. They are the ones who are subverting our republic, more importantly or more specifically. And it goes on. It says many Republicans are vying for positions of control over our election machinery for the all but openly declared purpose of subverting future losses. Excuse me? Do you see the way that they word that? everything is just negative toward Republicans just because we simply want IDs at the voting booth. Nothing wrong with that. We use it for everything. Republicans calling on the GOP to stand down from the madness and who resisted the last coup effort face primaries and even censure. And then they go on to conclude this. We could be protecting the system as far as Democrats from these threats, but they are not. And how do they suggest that they protect from such threats? Well, at the very end of the article, the Washington Post opinion writer says this: Biden need only to find the magic words to tamp down domestic autocracy or inspire a popular mobilization to overwhelm that threat. I'm curious. What do you mean by a popular mobilization to overwhelm the threat of the GOP? I'm just quite curious. And look for the GOP, not GOP, but Greg Sargent to expand here on that. But then he goes on to add a little more. May only facilitate this dodge, giving Biden something public to say, enabling further envision of the need to commit to forceful, not my words, forceful action against it. Forceful action against the GOP. What on earth are you talking about there? What kind of forceful action? I don't know about you, but I don't agree with any kind of violence from any side of the fence. Meanwhile, let me remind you of some things that the likes of Nancy Pelosi has been saying, right? Let me take you to this article, Daily Wire. .com. Pelosi labels Republicans as enemies of the state, says they are domestic enemies of our voting system. Not just her. Here's Salon going after Republicans. Republican Party is now a terrorist organization, and none of this is a surprise. Excuse me. Breitbart, national security experts. GOP are behaving like a terrorist group to be viewed as enemy combatants. Wow, this is bold rhetoric. It goes right in line with what the Washington Post article was saying. I wonder where they got it from. I wonder where this original article came from. Probably these kinds of ideas. Then we have Breitbart News, MSNBC's Jason Johnson. Democrats need to say that Republicans are terrorists. This is pretty bold rhetoric. Massively unhinged rhetoric by the Democratic Party. And yet they say the GOP right-wingers are the bad people? Excuse me? Let's talk about ways, right? How about 8 different ways that the Democrats are now trying to destroy the United States of America? And I'm just going to touch on these. I don't think I need to expand so much because you guys will see that a lot of this is happening. Number one way that they are trying to bury and destroy the United States of America, to subvert democracy or subvert our republic, because that is what we are. How are the Democrats doing that? Number one, they're causing racial division. Critical race theory, Black Lives Matter movement, Antifa movements, judging people based off the color of their skin, which is exactly what they're doing now. They are purposefully trying to subvert the country by causing racial division, right? If you have Americans fighting with each other, then nothing else really matters. Number one. Number two, and these are probably the two biggest things, they are igniting inflation, and they are attempting to bankrupt the United States of America. You see, inflation, let me just put it this way, debasing the currency and causing inflation is another form of tax for the Democratic Party. Let's just call it what it is. That's why Biden is not trying to stop inflation, and that's why inflation is exploding. They want to explode our economy and send us into complete and utter bankruptcy and spread the wealth around, which doesn't lead to anything other than socialism and communism and a rich class and a poor class. So number one, cause racial division. Number two, ignite bankruptcy and inflate our currency. Number three, destroy masculinity. They're doing that at the school system. Number four, destroy our education system. Bring in indoctrination of our children, both in the college level and at the school level. This is absolutely happening. This is why parents are finally starting to wake up to the critical race theory teaching that is in our schools. And now they're trying to call it justice, social justice training. Beware of those words. They've completely subverted and changed the word from its original meaning. That's number four. Number five, they have to censor all opposition. If you have people speaking out against them. This is not going to be good for them. They cannot thrive in a society when freedom is allowed to prosper. So they have to silence opposition. That's why, again, I created Restrictive Republic, because you're only going to be allowed on these platforms for so long, and which is, again, why I'm behind that paywall. Number 5, you have to censor opposition. Number 6, push hatred of America. You can't destroy a country unless you make them hate the country that they're living in. Again, that's happening. Number 7, encourage crime. This is happening in democratic cities all across the country, where they're giving slaps on the hand for crimes committed under so much. I think it's 1,000 or 100. I don't remember. I want to say 1,000, but they're allowed to basically run rampant. This is why we now have mob crime breaking out, which the likes of AOC denies, but I digress. This is how they are subverting our system. And 8 and final way is to open the borders. Because listen, if there is no border, there is no United States of America. Get it? It's really that simple. There's a right way to immigrate into the country and a wrong way to immigrate into the country. And they are just doing everything in their power to subvert that. What is the GOP doing to subvert our democracy? None of that. None of that. Now, there's rhinos in there doing that, of course. However, to say that they're subverting democracy, it's the exact opposite. The Democratic Party is usurping the United States of America, and there is literally a communist socialist takeover happening right now. Meanwhile, they accuse the Republicans, conservatives, and Christians of doing such. Just not true. Anyhow, please don't forget to check out my partner. And you guys really got to take a look at lightbug.com. This thing is absolutely amazing. I have it here, but it's charged by the sun. You can see the solar panel here, and you could use it. I personally have one in my car. I take it with me on camping, hiking trips, these kinds of things. And right now, as an added Christmas bonus, you can get an additional 20% off this Lightbug by using the coupon code Lisa and the number 20. That's Lisa 20. But you can see it's already discounted at 50%. But get that extra 20% off by using that coupon code. And trust me, you're not going to want to leave home without it, because this thing can also charge your cell phone with the power of the sun. Again, I might add, so you can see it there as well. So definitely something you're going to want to keep in your car. You're going to want to keep around, because it can charge your cell phone. And also it's got that flashlight setting and strobe light setting as well. And you can see how bright this thing is. And I'll just show you here. Pretty dang bright. But anyhow, get to lightbug.com. That's LYTEBUG.com. And don't forget to use that coupon code. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.